else we need. Shelby and Josh, yep. Okay, so yeah, I believe that is everything.
That's good. And just all that I got here before 11. It's my turn
It will start on the page.
after she's done playing.
Yep.
I'll just say I don't know. I said I don't know. Good morning. Welcome to all who are here in the sanctuary and to anyone who is connecting to us through technology. Welcome to People's Church. My name is Robin Miesler-Kubinik. I'm not wearing my name tag because I was in a rush this morning, so apologies for that. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as the board of your trustees. President. I am the board. the president of the Board of Trustees. Apologies. Worship today is led by Leslie Wright, who is the director of Prairiewoods Franciscan Spirituality Center, our interim director of faith formation, Bridget Laughlin, and our worship associate, Emily Hoselton. I did it. We also have Judy Michelin on piano, Matt Wild on internet outreach, and our special musicians, Shelby Benyon and Josh Wagner. All people of goodwill are welcome here at People's Church. As an official welcoming congregation, we celebrate and honor your sexual orientation, gender expression, and gender identity, your immigration status, whatever it may be, as well as race, ethnicity, and cultural background. We also celebrate and honor journeys with faith and doubt, comfort and discomfort with money, bodies of all shapes and sizes, abilities and disabilities, both seen and unseen, age and generational perspectives, and so much more. Whoever you are accepted just exactly as you are. A special welcome goes out to any newcomer joining worship today. To be added to our mailing list, please contact the church office, or if you're here in person, you can fill out a green card. Thank you. Green card, which you can find in the pew rack in front of you, and place it in the offering plate as it is passed around. Following today's worship, online participants are welcome to chat with everyone gathered on Zoom, and in-person participants are invited for coffee and conversation in the lower level. And if you have an order of service, please look at the back to consider if there's something you'd like to get involved with here in this vibrant congregation. So I would like to invite Steve Hirschner up to share an announcement.
Hi, I'm Steve. In this capacity, I'm co-chair of the Buildings and Grounds Committee, and I wanted to announce that building change is coming. During the weekdays between Sunday, July 27th, 2 weeks from today, and Sunday, August 3rd, the west parking lot, the lot directly behind, directly off Gordon Avenue, and the West Church entry door will be blocked. This is to allow demolition of the old non-compliant west door, concrete ramp, and replacement with a new ADA-compliant aluminum exterior ramp. Also, during this time, a new ADA-compliant interior ramp will be installed to facilitate full access to the chancel. That will be through the studio over here. The front raise, which will allow full access to this front raised portion of the sanctuary. In summary, the work has been planned by Buildings and Grounds to fulfill a priority of the congregation. The church will be open usual hours during the week of construction. Only the west parking lot and west entry door will be affected during that week. Church entry will be as usual, fingers crossed, for July 27th and April or August 3rd Sunday services. More details will be happily shared in the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Thank you to Steve and the Building and Grounds team. Finally, we extend a great big thank you also to the many people who give their time and talents to make today's gathering possible. We have Bill Hart and Terry Detterman on the sound system, greeters Kathleen Mavidi, and the kitchen crew headed up by, I'm actually not sure, but I'm going to be down there. Oh, it's headed up by me. So, with a sense of gratefulness for this time of being together, I invite you into a moment of awareness, which will begin and end with the ringing of our singing bowl.
if you guys were present for any of the choir performances of the last 2 years, you will have heard this song, and anyone who was in choir, please feel free to join. We're the sing-along people, so. We rise, humbly hearted rise, won't be divided rise, Spirit to guide us rise, in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer, we're right here in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer, we're right here and we rise. All of the children rise. Elders with wisdom rise. Ancestors surround us rise. In hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer, we're right here in hope, in prayer, we find ourselves here in hope, in prayer, we're right here and we rise. Up from the wreckage rise. With tears and with courage rise. Fighting for life we rise.
Today, we gather in the spirit of creativity, the spark within each of us that imagines, expresses, builds, and transforms. Creativity isn't limited to art or music. It's how we solve problems, nurture relationships, dream of a better world, and bring that vision into being. In creating, we connect with ourselves, with one another, and with something larger than us. And in that connection, we don't just exist, we flourish. Come, let us worship together. In the tradition of our Unitarian Universalist ancestors, we light a chalice every time we gather. As Susan comes forward to light our chalice here in the sanctuary, I invite those of you online to light a candle nearby or hold a warm intention in your heart. As you are willing and able, please join in reading aloud our chalice lighting words as together we say, "You can't use up creativity. The more you use, the more you have. The more you help others, the more you help yourself. That's the way life works, and that's the way love works." That is by Maya Angelou. Now, all those who are willing and able, I invite you to rise and say our words of affirmation of this church. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. Now, if you would like to stay standing for our gathering hymn, feel free to sit down. Our gathering hymn today is number 38, Morning Has Broken. Morning has broken. sunlight from heaven, like the first dew fall on the first grass. Praise for the sweetness of the wet garden, sprung in completeness where God's feet pass. Mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the wine light, Eden saw play. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. You may be seated unless you are young or young at heart, and then I invite you to stay seated. Never mind, you may stay seated. And Bridget will come forward.
So today we are not reading a traditional storybook. Today we are doing an activity together. So what are some ways in which we create? What is one type of thing that we create? Art, music. Energy, nice. Cooking. Writing. What was that? Quilting. Gardening. Recreation. Dreaming. Speaking. How many of you have either raised children or have raised children? I think you all created something. And every day you figure out a new story, a new way to get them to eat vegetables, a new way to get them to sleep. That's all creativity. How many of you have created something amazing at work, like a spreadsheet that was just mwah, or or coded something, or there's all kinds of ways that we create. It's not just what we imagine, like when we think of creativity, right? Like music and art and beautiful, sometimes our beautiful things are not what other people would consider beautiful, but they're still amazing. So what we're going to do today is on the aisle here, in the center aisle, there are Post-it notes. Everyone's going to need 2. So if you can pass them down. And there should be some pens in the seats. If there aren't enough, raise your hand and Kath will bring you a pencil. Okay, so what we're going to do first on our first Post-it note is we are going to write or draw something that we have created that we are proud of. What have you made any time in your life that you were proud of? So you can write that down or draw a picture of it, whatever you would like. And now on the second Post-it note, we're going to write something that we've always wanted to make, or we thought about making, we just didn't have the time. Something that we want to create in the future. Because right now, when things are feeling super heavy, when our brains are going into that fight or flight mode because the world feels like it's just too much, one of the ways that we can fight that, one of the ways that we can overcome those feelings of hopelessness and despair and sadness is to create. And so I want everyone to write down or draw a picture of something that they would like to create at some point to give ourselves hope and know that we can do these things. And then when you're done, bring both your Post-its up here and put them on our lovely idea board. If you need me to come and get them for you, because I will, just raise your hand, I'll be happy to do that. To you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. You I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. We share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we So I'm just going to read a couple of these out for you all. Rainbow crazy quilts, knitted scarves, my children, lots of music notes and songs. I would like to complete more paintings and writing, still life fabric painting, a nice, clean, uncluttered apartment. Published industry, published article, new relationships, kindness, happiness in others, support to those who need it, a marriage and family, drought-resistant gardens. We are a creative and amazing people. Don't forget how special and wonderful you are.
Thank you for that. As Unitarian Universalists, we hold shared values which build on the foundation of a liberating love. We covenant congregation to congregation and through our association to support and assist one another in our ministries. We draw from our heritages of freedom, reason, hope, and courage. We draw inspiration from a plethora of resources, including direct experiences of transcending mystery and wonder, as well as from sacred, secular, and scientific understandings to help us make meaning and live by our values. Today's source of inspiration comes from a writer named Jennifer Healy. This poem is entitled Orange Energy. All I want to do is delight. Throw the mask off, not to care and not to worry, not explain what I mean nor define what I do. Just be whatever I feel like being. Just relish in the energy of this moment. I want to be so alive that I feel like the moon, throwing tides just for fun, creating because it's what I'm here to do. I want to love the color orange, just because it craves delight too. I want to cry because I'm so in love with the miracle of being alive. I don't want to feel like I'm striving. I want to try and feel like I'm flying. I want to write the poetry, read the poetry, and breathe the poetry. I want my life to be a beautiful, messy mosaic that even I can't help but fall in love with. Create, create. I feel the winds of fury blowing through me. Even my bones are smiling. I hear my veins pulsing with desire, like branches dancing in the breezes. Wildflowers are waving, and the ocean blossoms with new idea. Crazy and beautiful is how I want my life to feel. Let it be, let it be. I write to be free. I read to tap in. I absorb the poetry, and so it shall be. And now I am this energy. Here ends the reading. Our next hymn, number 22 in the Gray Hymnal, is our hymn of the month for July, Dear Weaver of Our Lives Design. Judy will play it once through so we can get the melody, and then we will join in the words. Please rise in body and or spirit as you are willing and able.
Skillful fingers gently guide the sturdy threads that will survive the tangle of our days. Take up the fabric of our lives with hands that gently hold, bind in the ragged edge that care would sunder.
Thank you. You may now be seated.
Good morning. I know some of you and not all of you. It is always good to have a few anchor faces out there, so you can give me encouragement if things get rough. So I stand before you. My name is Leslie Wright. I come to you from a variety of places. So one of those is, as I was introduced, as the director of Prairiewoods Franciscan Spirituality Center, but that is only my current incarnation. Like many of you, there have been many stops along the way. And some of what I will talk about today is a reflection of that experience. And also my own struggle to understand my own creativity. But already in this time together this morning, I hear all the things you need to know. So you may hum to yourself through any part of this presentation that you already know. But one of the things that struck me sitting here is how many of the words on your banners are actually our guidance for a spiritual and creative life. Hope, diversity, faith and wonder, choice and strengths, all of these things come together. And the other thing that struck me is how important it is for us to reflect on those intersections of things we often feel are separate, the sacred, the secular, and the scientific. We often find ourselves feeling least creative when we are trapped inside a particular linear path. And so much of what I have discovered, much of what has led me to Prairiewoods, is about those intersections of understanding. So you can advance, thanks. So creativity, I loved the beginning of this definition. So it went on to mention many, many things, sort of a laundry list. But really at its very heart, it is the ability to make or otherwise bring into existence something new. And already you've listed all those ways that that can happen. But in every moment, we are creating because every moment is new. And sometimes we forget that, and we forget to be present to that very experience. So the other thing to be reminded of is that how we have gotten here, our evolution, the evolution of creation, is the very proof of the power of creativity. As we experience a new possibility, as we encounter a new challenge, it is our opportunity to reimagine. And so sometimes we were little cells reimagining, right? Now, hopefully, we are sentient and awake beings reimagining. And what I was reminded of several years ago, I was in Prairiewoods has an event called Spirituality in the 21st Century. A very small Catholic nun came to speak to us, Elia Delio. And it was at a time in my life as a woman in my 50s where sometimes culturally the message to us is that we are now ending, we are done, creating is over in so many different ways. And instead, she put up an image similar to the one in this next slide, which is that the universe is still expanding. The universe, light and energy, and hopefully the love that accompanies that, is still expanding outward, and we are part of that. And we continue to be part of that. And another inspiration for me along the way was quite a few years ago now. I was pursuing a master's in human development, and I was introduced to Julia Cameron. And so now these letters are very small. But part of what I liked about this, the phrases I lifted, that creativity is the natural order of life. And there is an indwelling creative force within us and around us. And when we open ourselves to creativity, we open ourselves to the Creator's presence in our lives, within us and around us. We are ourselves a creation, and creativity is God's gift to us. So we participate. And however you name God, it so happens that I identify as a Christian, but however you identify that source, the energy and light in life, it is creating, we are creating, we participate in that every day. But we get disconnected, don't we, from our creativity. Even in our busyness, that can be the first point of disconnection. It certainly happens to me. I have a to-do list, and often that to-do list is longer than my day, and so I need to leave that behind. Now, I'm also, according to my daughter, borderline ADHD, so the to-do list does have its uses. Like, you need to get to the end of this list at some point. So this is a picture of my friend Akwienji. So to me, she is exemplary in terms of what it means to live a creative life. But that can disconnect people like me who don't paint, who don't perform spoken word, who don't take jobs as communications professionals. The risk can be that we think of ourselves as not creative. My middle sister is a pastry chef and a musician. My husband is a musician. And I joke, I'm the audience. I'm really good at clapping. But without me, what would be the point, right? If there's no one to listen. We're going to play a short video for you now, but before we do that, I want to ask you a question. Take a moment and just quickly, how many uses do you think there are for a paperclip? 5? How many think there's at least 5? Hundreds. Okay. So we're going to listen to Sir Ken Robinson talk briefly. This is only a 3-minute video, but talk briefly about what can get in the way of our ability to be creative. Are we good? If it doesn't play, I'm going to act it out for you. It's coming. So I'm glad you laughed. I find him very humorous, but really an important point here underneath all the humor is what narratives have we adopted without even recognizing what we have absorbed? And I certainly remember the one right answer. I remember experiencing the linear nature of learning. And one of the things that confounded me in my undergraduate work as a psych major is, holy crap, man, there's a whole lot of ideas about how we work as humans, right? And so what do I do with that? How do I synthesize that? Or am I supposed to pick the one right answer? It was pretty overwhelming at that time in my 20s. So how do we allow for the complexity of our universe, but also trust that there's beauty in that, not just chaos. So I love the way he talks about divergent thinking, because then too, how do we attend to and how do we deconstruct those stories about what is creative, about what is possible, about what we might use? So one of the other things that disconnects us, and I'm sorry, the text here didn't really come through quite the way it was supposed to, but this is actually a quote from a futurist, Rebecca Ryan, who visited Cedar Rapids years ago. But you wouldn't travel across the country looking only in the rearview mirror of your car. And how often do we think about what is possible based on what we have known, or what we have done before, or how it turned out the last time, right? So that gets in our way. Another thing that gets in our way, and this is a particularly Christian ailment, is this whole notion of predestination. So I was raised Presbyterian. Boy, I wrestled with that through my young life. I could not figure that out. Like, why get up if it's already been decided? And my understanding of God and faith as I've grown older is that, again, we are all in the act of creating the potentials, the future, all that is around us. This is another futurist, and this just says it very simply. But we don't always think like this as humans. Sometimes we pull out our lawn chairs and we're just waiting for the future to show up, right? Like a wave to wash over us. The future does not exist. And then the paradox is the present, the past, and the future are often always active all at the same time in every moment. So how will we lean into that? There are many possible futures. Remember at the beginning of the pandemic? Did all of those futures turn out? They didn't, in fact. And our futures are constantly in flux. So especially when times are challenging and the world is chaotic, how do we stay engaged in the possibility? And some of that requires us to be in places and with people that help us stay connected to the possibility, the potential, and the goodness that is around us. So what cultivates creativity? So I am a Googler. And invariably when I'm preparing to talk to people, I Google whatever I'm going to talk about. And invariably you will get the 4 Ps of process, the 10 steps to whatever. So today we have the 7 habits of creativity. But I did find this to be very interesting to me, in part because it intersects with so much of our spiritual language and practice. Embracing curiosity. How do we become discovery people, not certain people? Again, another paradox for me in this time is we are both certain and afraid, right? We're sure we know, and uncertainty is shaking us to our very foundations. Cultivating a growth mindset. This was a huge learning for me. I did not have a growth mindset. Failure, the experience of running into challenges or obstacles, not getting the right answer first. Oh my gosh, that was debilitating. Instead, a growth mindset says we enter into every opportunity, every experience as an opportunity to learn, to explore. Make time for solitude. So as a woman who is a consummate introvert, I'm really good at this one, right? But where do you find that quiet space? that allows you room to imagine, to listen particularly, and seek new experiences. It can be so easy to get comfortable, especially when we've been somewhere for a long period of time. So the blessing and the challenge for me is I moved 11 times before I graduated from college. So whether I wanted to or not, thank you, that was a very appropriate response. I had to attach an extra sheet of paper when I applied to colleges, when they asked me about all my schools, and I had to remember all their names. So, when we get comfortable in our spot, right, we don't always encourage ourselves to move outwards. Practicing mindfulness, obviously coming from Prairiewoods, this is a big deal to me, but how can we be present? This isn't always about sitting in a meditative pose and quieting your brain, which I have yet to learn how to do. It is about being present. What is showing up? What is emerging around me? What are the things I should be attending to? And that mindfulness is about our body, our mind, and our spirit, and what's around us. So embracing failure, this was a tough one to learn. And establishing a creative routine, also a tough one to learn. I don't really do the same thing twice ever, much to my husband's dismay. So allow yourself to wander. That's one of the messages in this. And the other thing to remember is that creativity happens in relationship. It happens in community. Sometimes the community is me, myself, and I, but often it is with others, particularly people with diverse perspectives or diverse experiences who can add a different understanding to what we may be experiencing. So think too about what role you may play. So there was a reference to raising kids. Well, I also was a kid. And sometimes the role you play is to provoke creativity. As my parents provoked creativity in me when they told me no about things, I figured out ways to do it anyways. Doesn't mean I didn't suffer for it later. And I have many stories about creativity as it relates to my son, but we do not have time for that. So you might be the dreamer, you might be the provocateur, you might be the implementer, you might be the idea tester, and sometimes you might be the one who says no. You might be the one who pushes back and says, not yet, not that, how about? We don't always count that. So everyone has a piece of the puzzle. How can we get a 360-degree view? My coaching training, one of the tools we learned was a perspective wheel. It is really handy, especially when you do it in an experiential, embodied way. And we learned to tape out a big wheel on the floor and put some issue, some challenge, some question in the center, and then push ourselves to step into each wedge of the pie to imagine a different perspective. And explore the unknown. We don't know. Remember, the future is not yet written. And shake off our scarcity mindset. We may not see it yet, but if we attend, if we send our energy, solutions emerge, not always the ones we expect. Who expected that people could make respirators out of CPAP machines during the early days of COVID? Possibilities show up. And so McGill University talks about different ways to exercise creativity. Play, not too surprising, but also remember what Sir Ken Robinson said, hey, if we have the mind of a kindergartner, we are probably going to be a lot more creative. Meaning and identity, so often our creative expressions come out of that exploration, that search for, who am I? What is this about? Competing with each other. I used to compete with my sisters for a number of things. We won't go into those stories, but it made us very creative. A design mindset. And there's also this thing called craft, which in their terms means you get really good at something so you can then diverge from that thing. You can explore new possibilities within your own expertise and the collective. And we here in Cedar Rapids have certainly experienced, can we go back? Yep, thank you. We certainly have experienced catalyst and crisis. Things that happen to us that seem unimaginable, beyond our control, and we find new ways forward. Nubo didn't exist before the flood, right? It is now a hub of creativity and community and gathering, and there are many examples of that. The other thing I would, I think we need to go back one. Can we go back one more, I think? Nope, you're right, never mind. I totally skipped the slide I meant to. So there was the image of like stars in the sky. Oh, you're very good to me, thank you. Connect the unconnected. Sometimes the most creative exercise we can engage in is to begin to explore things we think are unconnected. Science is doing this now and integrating our understanding of so many aspects of life. And often what is happening is we're finding, oh yeah, you have that sort of sense of duh thing, you know, where you go, yeah, we kind of knew that hundreds of years ago and then we blew it off. But the other thing I would say is when you make connections, unexpected or new, those are moments of transcendence. They are moments of wonder and awe, and that is where the energy comes from for us to continue even when it is hard. Allow yourself those moments. So now we can, yes, thank you. So again, what do we hope for but we don't yet see? Just because we can't see it yet doesn't mean it isn't out there. It just may be an incarnation we're not expecting. It may come in a way we don't expect. And that means too, we have to move out into open water and take risks. So what do you need in your life in order to take those risks that supports your creativity? And I don't mean scaring yourself. I'm not going to bungee jump. Just saying. And, you know, I want to remind us too about the connections between creativity and spirituality. Sacred Design Lab is a group I've become really inspired by, and they're really focused on who are the spiritual innovators in our world. And they talk about spirituality as belonging, becoming, and beyond. And often our creativity comes from these three things, and our relationship to ourselves, to the people around us, our community, creation, and the source of our being. As we explore that, we become creative people, whether it's in the music we make, the words we write, the way we engage with each other. And so what practices work for you? There are many in this service here this morning. What helps you? Tap into that and remember it will be uniquely your own. I'm not a poet. I'm not a musician. I can't even make food. I married a man in order to get fed. But there are other things, right? I'm a gardener. I love my hands in the dirt. I love the promise of winter. I've learned to appreciate the fallow time. There are other things that will help you to feel alive and connected to the creative. Find those things and honor those things as often as you are able, and the people who honor those things in you, who encourage that. And so I would also say, just as an ending note, if there is any way that Prairiewoods can be of service to you in your creative journey, we would be glad to. There are many things there, many people who come there to offer what is their creativity, whether it is labyrinth or painting or music or meditation, singing bowls, you name it. It is a place built to explore. And for so many of us, our sense of wonder and connection begins in the outdoors, and we have 67 acres waiting to speak to your heart, including Grandmother Oak, who apparently speaks to many and often. So if that helps you, we've got 2.5 miles of trails. If it's light enough to see your feet, we're open. So thank you for having me this morning. Don't take the script when you leave. Much appreciated.
Each week, we participate as a community in the spiritual practice of generosity. Today, our donations will go to the Iowa Environmental Council. EEC's mission is a just, healthy environment and sustainable future for all Iowans. IEC envisions a state that is a leader in addressing climate change and creating resilient communities that embody Iowans' shared values of respect for all people and the environment. Through education, advocacy, and coalition building, IEC raises awareness, generates action, and creates large-scale change. IEC works on federal, state, and local public policy issues to ensure a just, healthy environment and sustainable future for all Iowans. And now, in a spirit of generosity and compassion, this morning's offering will now be gratefully given and lovingly received.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong somewhere you feel free. Go away, find you a lover. Run away somewhere all bright and new. And I've seen no other, no one who compares with you. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat out at sea. You belong with your love on your arm. You belong somewhere you feel free. Ooh. run away, find you a lover. Go away, let your heart be your guide. You deserve the deepest of cover. You belong in that home by and by. You belong among the wildflowers. You belong somewhere close to me, far away from your troubles and worries. You belong somewhere you feel free. You belong somewhere you feel free.
Thank you for all the ways that you embody generosity. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. We now enter a time of prayerful meditation, a time where you're invited to silently acknowledge your great joys and deep sorrows. For those who would like to come forward in silence, you have two options to symbolize the stirrings of your heart. You can choose either a candle to place in the sand or a stone to place in our communal sacred water. This first candle was lit for those affected by the floods in Texas. And now I invite all who would like to please come forward via the center aisles and return to your seats down the side aisles. As you are willing and able, please come forward. Spirit of compassion, we lift up all of those in Texas whose lives have been upended by the floodwaters. Those who have lost homes, livelihoods, or loved ones. Those who are still waiting for rescue. Those who are weary from the storm. May comfort find them in their fear. May shelter find them in their need. May helping hands and open hearts surround them. And may courage and hope rise like the sun after a heavy rain. Let us, as people of faith and action, continue to bring love, relief, and resilience wherever the waters may reach. Amen, and blessed be. Our closing hymn is number 1064, Blue Boat Home, found in your teal hymnals. Please rise in body and or spirit. You may be seated. While Leslie extinguishes our flame, I invite you all to read aloud our usual words. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And before we enjoy one last gift of music, I offer you this blessing. May your senses awake to the creative spark that lives in you. May you walk in beauty and seek to create beauty wherever you go.
Broken down and tired of living life on a merry-go-round, and you can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we gon' walk it out. And mountains, we gon' walk it out. And mountains. And I'll rise up, I'll rise like the day. I'll rise up, I'll rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And I'll rise up, rise like the waves. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, the silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise we'll take the world to its feet and move mountains, bring it to its feet and move mountains. Now rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, in spite of the ache. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. But you, in spite of the ache, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. And we'll rise up, rise like the waves. We'll rise up, in spite of the ache. We'll rise up, and we'll do it 1,000 times again.